I'm going to show my age a little bit up here. When I was in college, sitting in the seats you were sitting in as a student athlete, one of the iconic sporting events of my era was the 1999 women's soccer team winning the World Cup. And Mia Hamm was the star of that team. If you're not familiar with Mia Hamm, she's one of the iconic women's soccer players of all time. And there's a pretty well-known story about her that I believe is the first page in her autobiography. Her college coach at UNC was driving to practice one day. It's about 5:30 in the morning. He's trying to get in early before their morning practice. It's still dark. Mia was still living in Chapel Hill at the time as a young professional with the women's soccer national team. And he sees a shadowy figure in a park running wind sprints in the dark at 5:30 in the morning. And he can tell by the sprint form that he's pretty sure who it is. And he gets up to the stop sign at the corner, and there, bent over, drenched in sweat, is Mia Hamm running wind sprints at 5:30 in the morning. He gets into his office and he writes a quick handwritten note that he mailed out to Mia, and it said simply, "The vision of a champion is someone drenched in sweat, bent over to the point of exhaustion when no one is watching." Okay? First of all, before I get into the rest of the speech, I want to thank our athletic director, Coach Cook, who I saw back there a minute ago, and SAC for allowing Coach Chris and I to present this award now in its 4th year in honor of our daughter, Alana Littleton. Coach Krista doesn't come up here because she doesn't want to get emotional and see everybody see her cry up here on stage in front of everybody. And so I always come up here, and I'll be honest, this one's going to be tough for me to get through, because in the 4 years that we've given this award, this is the first time that there's been a female recipient. And that hits close to home, because as somebody who lost a daughter, when you lose a daughter at birth, like we did, you're left with a blank canvas that doesn't get painted. And you always wonder, what would their life have been like? What would they have been into? What would their interests be? What sports would they have wanted to play? And our daughter would have been 7 years old this year, going on 8. And she would have been growing up on Coe's campus. We've been here 6 years now. You know, would she have wanted to be kicking a soccer ball around? Would she want to go watch the women's basketball team? Would she want to play golf? Would she want to play softball? She would have grown up in the racket center with tennis and track and field being probably a part of her daily life if she was hanging out at practice. And we'll never know the answer to that question. But one thing as parents that you would want for your child, right, if you had a list of aspirations, first and foremost, I think every parent would want their kid to be a good student, right? To prioritize academics, maybe get straight A's in an ideal world, right? You would want them to be somebody that strives to be the best they can be at whatever it is they're doing. As coaches, we try to tell our athletes, and we certainly would have been telling our daughter, if you're going to do something, you're going to put the time and effort in, try to be the best you can be at it. Try to maximize your ability. But we would also want them to be a team person and somebody that puts team success above their own. And if they weren't capable of being a star, somebody that would embrace being a role player and trying to be the best they could be in that role. We would want somebody that had the confidence and the courage to go to college over 1,000 miles away from home if they found the best school and the best team for them. And we would want our daughter to have the emotional strength and resilience to continue to do all the above, even if one of us were battling cancer. In other words, we would hope that our daughter would have aspired to be like Madison Schultz. Maddie, I'm going to make you stand up here for a minute because I'm not done. This winter was tough for me because our distance runners had to practice in the evening in the racket center because we had some class and lab conflicts in the afternoon. And every time we'd have practice, Maddie would be in the racket center giving lessons to little girls, elementary school age. And I would often wonder if that would have been Alana out there taking tennis lessons from her. And I asked Maddie one time how she had the patience to work with little kids, because some of them were not as well behaved as I hope our daughter would have been. And she told me that she wanted to help the younger generation get started in the sport because she felt like she had gotten a late start. For whatever late start she had, she made up for it in her 4 years of work ethic at Co. She was constantly in the racket center, day and night, any hour of the day, 7 days a week, hitting, getting reps in. There's a reason that she was 3-time Conference Player of the Year in women's tennis. And I would often tell our team, our upperclassmen can attest to this. I said, if you want to understand what it takes to be a champion, you just need to look in the tennis courts inside, because Maddie would be in there every day hitting for everybody to see who was in our building. But her real inspiration was her senior year, where she was conspicuously absent from the Racket Center in the fall, and I asked Coach Stridham, is everything okay with Maddie? Did she graduate early? Did she quit? Did something happen? He said, no, she's been injured. She hasn't been able to play all fall. And she would eventually find out that she needed to have surgery on her wrist or forearm, whatever it is, was going to take surgery that would have been season-ending for her spring season. And rather than do that, Maddie took a lesser role on her team. Instead of being the star, she taught herself to literally play left-handed with the opposite hand and rely almost exclusively on backhands because she couldn't hit a forehand shot. I'm trying to imagine and wrap my brain around like Chris Baker having to relearn how to throw with the opposite foot, opposite turns. Like, I can't even imagine. But her work ethic helped her perfect it. And throughout her career, I would come into the Racket Center at crazy times. Like, if our team was leaving at 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, we'd have to get the implements for our throwers. We'd key into the building, and there alone on the courts when no one was watching was Maddie getting in reps at 6:30 on a Saturday morning. We would sometimes get back late, 9, 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. We would go to put the implements away. Multiple occasions, we would key into a dark building, and there would be one light on the tennis court with Maddie getting in reps when no one was watching. One time I even had a recruit and their family on a Sunday morning. I keyed in about 8 a.m. when the rest of the campus was probably still in bed. Many of them probably hung over, and there's one person on the tennis court when no one was watching, trying to be the best that she could be. And when this award was selected to go to Maddie a couple weeks ago, we could have never guessed that she would write a storybook ending to it that even Hollywood couldn't get away with. In case you missed the memo, women's tennis won the conference championship yesterday. It's headed to the NCAA tournament. If you haven't watched the video, I would encourage you to watch. Hunter's got it on social media, The Winning Point. It was only poetic that the match came down to Maddie. She was the last one on the court, still playing. If she loses, their season's over. If she wins, they're going to the NCAA tournament. And you can see the last point of the contest, and it's, 2 of the 3 last shots were backhands, including the backhanded winner of her having learned to play a different way to even be out there. And what's crazier is when you see her team storming her, Maddie walks away as if she just hit a shot for the 10,000th time, which she did for 4 years in the Racket Center when no one was watching. Everyone's watching now, Maddie, and you've been an inspiration to your team, to our team, and I hope to more people as your story gets more known. So on behalf of Coach Krista, myself, and our daughter in heaven, it is my honor to present the 2025 Most Inspirational, Alana Littleton Most Inspirational Student Athlete Award to Madison Schultz.